The smell of zombie takeout is hard to get rid of. It can last up to 6 months, almost as if it is trying to remind us.
What's up? Welcome to episode 327 of Zombie Takeout.
Zombie Takeout.
The B-Movie and Cult Movie Podcast. I'm Uncle John.
And I'm Scotto.
And without any further ado, let's just get straight to this week's movie, which is from 2012, Gyo Tokyo Fish Attack. This was suggested by Danny Meeks, just so we know who to credit for exposing us to this film. Of course, that brings us to the impromptu plot summary, sponsored by the producers of Jaws, who would like to assure you that not only is it safe to go back in the water, it's a hell of a lot safer than on land.
And also brought to you by Sushi. So fresh, it still walks. All right, we have some girls on holiday. They go to a cabin in the woods. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Well,
not what you're thinking. It's actually worse.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not the cabin that's not safe. It's the entire planet.
Yeah.
These fish that begin to walk onto land begin attacking and infecting people who turn into bloated gas.
Green, bloated humanoids.
Gas spewing humanoids, and then they wind up overrunning the area of Japan they're in.
Kind of crossed the kid from the Tootsie Roll Pop commercial with an orc, and that's what they look like.
Ooh, oof. And right, so then, the one of the girls is of course purest of heart, so she is spared, and she goes on a quest to find her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And do you remember that show, that Drawn Together? The elf is on a quest to find his girlfriend. Well,
I was thinking of the redhead from Cabin in the Woods, and I think the videographer is the stoner.
Yeah, maybe. So she travels by train. Of course, the train is derailed because, the fish derailed the train.
And it's not just fish; it's sharks. At one point, it's an octopus.
That's true. It is all hosts of sea creatures.
Yeah. Well, any kind of sea life that doesn't already have legs.
Right. Has gained a pair of legs and are now walking around land and terrorizing and infecting and cloning, or not cloning. Well, kind of.
Infecting is more apropos.
Infecting, right. Until then, they're monsters who are then trapped with the legs, using the legs as well.
Well, then the legs in these cases are mechanical.
Yes. She does find... I guess I'm skipping to the end of she goes through all of these things to get to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's uncle it turns out to be... should I just go into the spoiler alerts here?
Yeah. You can't spoil this movie.
That's true. It's only an hour and 10 minutes.
Well, that too, and it's just incredibly weird.
And in all honesty...
And that's me saying that.
In all honesty, this swerve is not a big swerve.
True.
The uncle's a mad scientist. And it's pretty much... Well, they kind of leave it up where it's too late or not for anything. But it's too late for her boyfriend.
Yes, definitely.
He is done fucked up. And her friends, of course, don't fare much better.
Right.
And hilarity ensues.
And she ends up teamed with this videographer who she's traveling with, who has ulterior motives.
But he has ulterior motives, so he is not purest of heart either. And he takes the judgment of the horror movie.
Exactly. Hilarity ensues.
Well, a foul stench ensues.
Well, yes. And a bit of a confession, which will surprise a lot of people. This is not only the first anime I've watched in about 4 months, but the first subtitled anything I've watched in about that time.
Really?
So I just kind of got bored with it in the middle of last season and just kind of stepped away and never went back. I'll probably go back when the next season starts in a couple of weeks. So this was an interesting way to jump back in.
I mean, you had an anime show for a bit.
Yeah.
It was going to be your life, man.
It happens occasionally. I just kind of step away now and then, every couple of years.
I mean, this show prevents me from watching B movies leisurely because I'm like, no, I gotta save it for the show. I mean, but on the other hand, I'm still watching more B movies for this show than I have. We weren't doing this show because I was watching one a week.
I think maybe because I'm not doing any anime related shows at the moment, I can take some time away from it. I don't have to watch it.
I watched. I started watching that one show, Fooly Cooly, months ago.
Yeah,
but
not really your thing.
Didn't make it through.
And honestly, and this goes to anybody else out there who decides to try Fooly Cooly. If you're not hooked by the end of the first episode, don't bother continuing. It's not for you.
Well, I thought at the end of the first episode that it was interesting and I moved on, but I kind of felt like the following episodes were a bit repetitious and it was kind of like
wasn't for you.
Yeah.
I would recommend either Cowboy Bebop or Serial Experiments Lane. They're both on Crunchyroll. We'll talk later.
So much stuff to watch, though. The Netflix account is ridiculous right now.
Anyway, back to the movie at hand.
Yes.
I will say it did mix traditional animation and CGI very nicely. There's some very definite CGI shots, but they didn't really stick out like a sore thumb.
Right. I would agree that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this film, really.
Although the stink lines when they first opened the summer house kind of looked like spores escaping. And I thought it was going to be like an airborne virus until we realized, no, those are just stink lines.
It was as if Tokyo were attacked by Pigpen.
Yeah, exactly.
From Charlie Brown.
And another great thing about the film is it wastes no time. Within 5 minutes, we have the first fish attack.
Which is odd because, I mean, it is only an hour 10. They really could have gone and done more with this than they did.
I should mention, it's based on a manga called Gyo Ugumeku Bukimi, which translates to Eek Stigmatted Blood.
Now, this is very interesting because, I mean, I was okay with this movie. I was kind of on the fence. But then when I saw the plot of the manga, and I actually read the plot while I was waiting for you, I think the manga is much better.
Oh, as always, the source material is always much better. Especially in the case of a manga or a comic, because you can get into so much more. You have much more to work with.
But, I mean, I kind of knew there was, something wrong plot-wise with the movie in itself. And really, the whole friends and the cabin in the woods thing was kind of like why are we doing this? That wasn't in the manga.
Well, yeah, it was just basically to set up the traditional horror movie beginning.
Well, right.
And to add some extra characters.
The excuse to have some young ladies in it.
And a little bit of fan service.
Yeah.
Until she turns into an orc.
But I think the idea of the two, I'm drawing a blank on their name.
The friends, Aki and Erika.
I usually have, no, it's Kaori and Tadashi.
Oh yeah, Kaori and Tadashi are the main characters, the couple.
In the manga, they go on a quest together. They are on holiday together when this starts and go on a quest together to find out what the fuck is going on. And, there's a lot more drama and tension just in the Wikipedia summary than in this movie. Yeah,
they decided to B it up a little bit for the movie and go a little more traditional horror film. And they also threw in what might be the most graphic threesome scene I've seen outside of porn. Like, you didn't see penetration, but you knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, pretty much. I hadn't thought of that.
Though I did like the device of Aki being able to smell the fish when they're about to attack. It was a nice early warning system.
Right, Carrie has very sensitive sense of smell.
Well, it's Aki, the one with glasses who could smell them like 10
manga.
seconds before. Oh, okay, it's Kaori in the manga, okay.
Yeah, they took that from her. But it would have been nice if, I don't know. The whole catty thing just...
Oh, yeah, the cat fight was fan service. Well, no, the initial cat fight was fan service because it was an excuse to pull Erica's clothes off. The
Yeah.
second cat fight that got brutal, I loved it because I didn't expect it to go there. It was just completely insane. And I loved the shark design while we were just in that beginning section of the movie. I mean, the fish looked okay, but the shark with the legs it was basically an insect and a shark combined.
Yeah.
And I think having them escape in basically gas balloons in the bags, that was clever. Because that's how they power the walking machine, is by gas.
Right. Movement. Yeah.
Yeah. Which gets really interesting when it's humans in the machines. There's a scene earlier on where we see an octopus on legs. And they kind of they tease tentacle hentai, but they don't really go there.
That's true.
But then when you see how the walking machines are attached to the humans, it's basically tentacle hentai with pipes.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. That's, I mean, obviously.
Two in the front, one in the back.
Right. They were kind of going for something like that. In fact, when was that South Park episode when they did the segue?
Or were they just referencing Human Centipede, though?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. They did a whole separate thing for Human Centipede.
Yes, they did. That was 12, yeah, around the same.
Okay.
I mean, it was after the manga, but at the same time this movie was done. Also,
this predates Sharknado, we should point out if we haven't, by a year.
Yeah.
The OVA, and I'll get into that in a minute, came out the year before Sharknado. And I don't have the year for the manga offhand.
I think it was like 01. Yeah, 01, 02.
Now, you mentioned that the plot was a little lesser than the manga. The OVA was originally planned to be 30 minutes, but evolved to 60 minutes throughout production, which could explain some of your issues with it. And I'll explain. An OVA stands for original video animation. It's any anime series that is shorter than a season, which is about 12 episodes, or any anime film that's shorter than feature length.
Well, it's funny because at first, I read there's one review on IMDb, and he's just, going on about being outraged by, the abuse of the source material. And I'm just rolling my eyes okay, whatever, we hear this. But then I read the story myself, and I'm like, holy shit, they took main characters and pushed them off to the side in favor of characters that, didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
And the interesting thing here is I'm normally the one who's obsessive about the source material.
But
and dinging things for not sticking to the source material.
Hold on, though. There's twisting a few little things, and then there's it would be there's no Lady Macbeth in Macbeth.
Okay, fair point.
It's Ed Norton, the neighbor, who gets him in trouble. I mean, yes, I just mashed up Macbeth and the Honeymooners.
Which I think speaks to the changes to the source material in this case.
Ralphie boy, you could be king of Scotland.
But I think the story as it is builds nicely. Disregarding the source material. They do ratchet up the tension pretty evenly. Carrie's breakdown when she's trying to get past the guards seemed a little out of nowhere. She just goes almost catatonic suddenly.
And right, I don't think there's much tension as much as just hopelessness. I mean,
yeah, perhaps.
It's pretty obvious this is all going south. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they illustrate that when they kill Aki.
Right.
Or I don't know if they actually kill Aki.
Well, with the glasses, she gets attacked by a giant swarm of fish on legs, and you can assume she's dead.
Right. She just disappears into the crowd. Yeah. Which doesn't make any sense either because she was already infected.
Well, she wasn't because she wasn't showing any symptoms.
I mean, she'd
been stuck in the foot, but she wasn't showing any symptoms. Like Cowrie, she'd been cut but wasn't showing any symptoms.
But they
So maybe she was immune.
I thought Erica had said that she was already, starting to smell. They didn't give her enough time to.
Well, you don't know if she was messing with her or not. It was in the middle of a fight.
That's true.
Now, one thing I would have liked to have seen is a bit more of the news reports. We only get them sporadically. And it would have been interesting to see what was happening outside of, the sphere of our main characters.
I know, I guess maybe it's a typical horror movie thing, is that you find a reason why it happened, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and you at least try to strike a blow back at the at whatever is going on. But I mean, that feels like an act that's missing from this story, you know?
Well, it kind of feels, and I was actually thinking about this for sequels and remakes, but it is a little bit Walking Dead in that sense, where it's just about surviving instead of trying to find a cure. Robert Kirkman, who created The Walking Dead, has said there's never going to be a cure. It's just about surviving the zombie apocalypse. And this very much has that feel to it. There's no hope of a cure. It's a matter of getting out and surviving. And
that works for a TV show, but I'm not sure if it works for a movie containing the story within, you know?
Yeah. And I did like that they said that, because all of the fish exploded, the infection was going to stay on Japan. And then they show the infection happening in every other country almost. Well, not every other country, but several other countries.
Yeah.
And I think the circus was a nice what the fuck.
And that's in the manga, actually, too.
Okay. I think it was...
I'm not sure if it makes any sense whatsoever.
Well, I think it was the cinematographer, the videographer, was it Shirakawa, I think his name was. He's wandering through the streets, and he sees this big top tent. And walks in, and there's this circus where the band are infected. And I think everybody involved is infected to some extent. And it's just completely batshit insane. And
it's just the method of explaining to us what's happened here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot better than, just previously when Dr. Kuyanagi, Tadashi's uncle, goes complete Basil exposition. Really, my only criticism of the movie is he goes completely Basil exposition in this one scene. Basically, they're watching a tape of his experiments, and he just verbally explains everything. Now, I have no idea why she didn't take the data at the end. I couldn't figure that part out.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense either.
Yeah, Shirakawa, the videographer, downloads all of Dr. Koyanagi's data on all of his experiments. And he gives it to her because she's trying to escape to somewhere, to another country where it's safe, supposedly. And she refuses to take it, and they don't really give an explanation why.
That's kind of the problem with the whole movie, though. There is no why to it. It's just, here's this horrific event that happens.
Well, there is a why.
Here's some shitty people.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, the why is they're punished for their sins.
Well, there's the typical horror movie. Anybody who has any fun gets killed. But there's also Koyanagi's explanation of how the virus was started by the military, was created by the military, and they were going to infect these fish who were going to attack the enemy with a smell, I think. And actually, they don't really explain it as much as they do in the manga, because I also read the summary. And I think at one point they explained that the fish cannibalized the sunken ships to create their own legs.
Sooner or later, sea life get into it, and that's all it takes.
There was a virus that they found out caused animals to emit this horrible smell. They had these animals infected with it that they were transporting on a ship. The American military came along, sank the ship, and went into the water, infected the sea life. And on the ship there were these walking mechanisms, but the sea life, when they were done with them, when they used all of those up, cannibalized the ship to build their own, which is why we have these armies of fish on legs. Yeah, I just think that whole thing was just a bit too Basil exposition, which is really, again, my only ding on the movie. I love that there was not a happy ending. There was no resolution. She's off to her doom.
Well, right. Only the pure can survive, so there cannot be a happy ending.
Yeah. On to sequels and remakes?
On to sequels and remakes.
Now, because she is off to another country that is also infected, there is room for a sequel, but it really would just be another zombie story. It's about surviving the zombie horde.
Yeah, unless the next movie is about, well, what do we do about this?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could get into a cure. I don't know where the manga went from here. I'd never heard of any of this franchise before Danny recommended it.
I think it's only in 2 parts.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty much done. It hasn't.
Yeah.
It's not ongoing. So they really maybe did leave it that open.
I think so. I mean, in the manga, Tadashi is the one who survives, and
yeah. They flip the two characters.
Yes, and when he finds her burnt out body, he says at least she's free from the smell, because the smell just tormented her so badly. Have been infected, it was just the worst thing that could have happened to her. But there are also some college students that they run into that are immune.
Oh, okay.
Which they left out in this.
Hope for survival, basically.
They left out any hope for survival, anybody being spared from it. They didn't want any of that in this.
Well, they do suggest that Kaori is immune, because Shirakawa points out that her cut isn't showing symptoms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just before they separate, and he drops that horrible line that almost makes me want to take a half a brain off about how what you believe is true.
That was a pretty bad line.
I think it would be interesting to see a live action version just to see how they pull off the walking fish.
Yeah, I would love, and I think I have just the director in mind, of course.
Okay.
Sam Raimi.
Ooh, okay, he'd be good. I think Guillermo del Toro would be an interesting choice too.
That's true.
Maybe collaborate.
Yeah, maybe.
On the brains?
On the brains.
I think it's recommendable just for the sheer weirdness. Apparently they did destroy the source material, and yeah, there are holes. But it's just so fucking weird. I'm going for.
Yeah, I think I'm still in the same place even before reading the source material. I'm at 3 brains. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I am interested in the manga, the source material, after seeing that, because it does sound like a more interesting story than what they did.
Yeah. It always is. And so what have we learned?
I think I'm just going to cook my fish. I think I'm good.
And we don't discuss what have we learned before the show, but this worked out beautifully. I learned that I'm really glad that I don't eat fish.
I very rarely eat it, honestly.
I'm vegetarian, for those who don't know.
Not even pescatarian, huh?
No. Nothing with a face.
Mr. Potato Head?
Ha! Good point. All right, so until next time, we'll be reviewing Death Race 2000. This kicks off our 2000 two-parter, Death Race 2000 and Chariot 2000. Really just linked because they're sci-fi movies with 2000 in the title.
We could make a trilogy of Blues Brothers 2000.
Well, it's not really sci-fi. And I don't want to watch it again.
Oh, no.
And also next week, I'm not sure if this is going to be an add-on to the end of the episode or a special. Jen Miller will be once again joining us to talk about the current season of Mystery Science Theater 3000. I have 4 episodes left to go before Tuesday when we're recording. You have 12.
Oh my god. I don't think I'm going to make it all the way through. But this will be the first time that I'm actually on air with Jen Miller.
Yeah, she appeared, I think it was last year or the year before when we reviewed Horns, because you needed a week off.
Yeah, she filled in for me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so until then, go to zombieticket.com, check out the album art, the episode description, of course, the episode itself, which you're already listening to. Links to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. Links to subscribe via RSS and iTunes. Please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And if you enjoy the show, spread the word. Give us a little word of mouth. Of course, we appreciate all of the listeners we have, but more would be better. You also find the movie list, every movie we've reviewed so far, and every movie we're going to review, up through Forbidden Planet and The Day the Earth Stood Still, in some order. I don't remember if I have that backwards. You also find the recommendations list. I was sure this was going to make it. It got close.
I've just been Mr. Cockblocker left and right this year.
What was the other one?
Actually, I did recommend the Galaxy of Terror.
Yeah.
You were the blocker.
Yeah, I blocked that one, right. Although having revisited the Galaxy of Terror recently, I think I may have underestimated it.
Almost all of the other episodes, though, the case has been in reverse.
Well, yeah, that's always been the case. And honestly, having skimmed this before I watched it, I thought it was going to be a double 5 just from weirdness, but yeah, it didn't quite make it. Of course, you can email us, zombieticket@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 401-403-68-CTO1, or for the alphanumerically challenged.
You can shove a pipe up your ass.
And 2 in your mouth. 401-403-68-961. Of course, always remember that you'll always be calling from the middle of Milwaukee, and until next time, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you are.
お客様、パソコンの電源はお切りください。
Carrie's breakdown